Hello everyone, Marcel here for TFNG. Me and my wife Mila, we started our YouTube channel TFNG, which stands for Travel, Food and Gadgets, in order to share our travel experiences with you. Now before we get going, please do us a favor, give it a thumbs up if you like it, hit the subscribe button, and also click the notification bell so that you can be informed of any new videos as soon as we post them. Now without further ado, let's go to our video. So here we go. This is a map of the river cruise that we took. It started in a town called Chalone Sur Saone, and along the way we hit the towns of Tourneau, Mâcon, the city of Lyon, Vienne, Viviers, and then the city of Avignon. Now the closest airport is in Lyon, so we flew into Lyon, started right here at the airport. From here, the Vantage cruise line picked us up and bussed us up to Chalone Sur Saone. A little bit of a bus ride, but it's kind of nice to get your bearings and kind of orient yourself after that long flight. Pretty soon though, we found ourselves in Chalone Sur Saone meeting our boat, the River Discovery 2. A quick welcome aboard, check in, get settled down, and now we're able to go out in town in the Chalone Sur Saone. We arrived late in the afternoon, so we only really had the late afternoon and the evening to walk around in the town and kind of see what's out there. Beautiful town. Here's a real nice shot from across the river, the bridge, and a nice little sunset. The following morning, we're up and ready for our first day trip. Along the way, we hit some vineyards and we just stopped by, took a few pictures here, and they told us all about how these vineyards are in the local area. Oh, and by the way, on this trip, we went with my sister-in-law and her husband. There they are on the left. After a quick stop at the vineyards, we go to the town of Rhone, where our tour takes us to the Hotel Dieu. This Hotel Dieu in the 15th century was established as a hospital to take care of the local people. As you can see here, they set the museum up exactly the way it was when it first started back in the 15th century, with the beds and the pharmacy right here with its herbs and medicinal products that are up on the wall here. The last part of the tour is the complex and large kitchen, which fed the patients and probably the staff too. After a tour at the museum, we get to go to the wine cellars at the Hotel Dieu, and we got treated to a round of wine tasting. And I gotta tell you, wine tasting in the cellars is quite nice ambiance. After that, it's back to the ship where we get some lunch and we take off and head down to the town of Tourneau. We settle in about 5-ish p.m. in the town of Tourneau, settle in for the night, and get ready for our next excursion the following morning. Our excursion in Tourneau takes us to the Chateau de Commettant. Here's what it used to look like in this model, and here's what it looks like now. The castle is surrounded by a moat, and it sits in 10 acres of well-maintained land. Now we head on upstairs to go join our tour. Over here, we're shown the several of the rooms. Very large, they're actually more like apartments. Over here, our tour guide kind of explains each room and what they used it for, and kind of all these nice decorations and sculptures that were up here. Very extravagant. Oh, by the way, this chateau is actually still privately owned, and the owners still reside in a certain section. These bedrooms aren't theirs, of course, but we weren't able to go there. But kind of interesting that the place is still occupied. And at the end of every tour, seems like we end up in the kitchen. While we were out on our tour to the Chateau Commettant, our river cruise ship went from Tourneau to Mâcon. because we're gonna head straight from Chateau Cometon to Macon and meet her there and have lunch. Here's a little photo op of us once we get to the boat. After lunch, we go out and we just see a couple of things. Over here, we're touring the old St. Vincent Cathedral. Pretty historic because it's one of the older ones in town. Now this next building here is called the Wooden House, and it's supposed to be the oldest house in Macon. It was built between 1490 and 1510. And that wooden facade there, it's supposed to have a bunch of statuettes like grimacing men and monkeys' masks. I mean, I guess you gotta come up with something if you gotta do sculptures for a whole house. The following morning, our tour was to the Georges de Boeuf Wine Museum and Winery. Very interesting place because they actually take you from the very beginnings of how wine was made and its progression throughout history, the different tools they use, and finally the way they age them in barrels. And over here I took some pictures of some glass etchings that shows some of the wine regions over here in France. And then, the highlight of every tour, wine tasting at the end. Oh, and by the way, we met some really nice people that we kind of hung out with the rest of the tour. They're over there on the other side of Matt and Gloria, and that's David and Marie. And after our wine tasting, it's back to the ship. We're now heading down towards Lyon, and this is the view from our room. Look at that. How'd you like having that view every day? And pretty much all the rooms on a river cruise, on a river ship, is like this. Now, as you can see here, from Macon down to Lyon, it's kind of a long stretch. At Lyon, that's the place where it intersects towards the Rhone River. In this section here, you can start to see where it goes from French countryside onto some rural areas and on to where it starts to get a little bit more to the city. Along the way, we passed some pretty low bridges. I guess at the time we went, the river was pretty high, but not so high that the boats aren't able to go underneath the rivers. And here's the crew. There's David and his wife Marie over here at the end. And oh yeah, we're drinking wine because why not? What else do you have to do on a river cruise? And as we go down, you could kind of see that it's getting a little bit more populated. Let's see a couple out here with their sailboat, just using the river for recreational purposes. And you kind of see that all along. You know, there's more and more buildings. It's getting more populated. You can kind of see the parking lot down there full of cars. More bridges, people waving at us from the bridges. It's kind of nice. This looks like some kind of old wall that just got left behind. And again, more folks, this time paddleboarding. Now this section of the river is very interesting. This bridge here is the lowest one in the Saone River that we're going to come up on. As you can see, we're taking it real slow here. That first person you saw was actually one of the crew. And you can see over here how close we are. I'm going to move over to the left and I'm going to get a shot of the radar antenna right here. And you can see it's literally just a few inches underneath that bridge. Viva Leon! As we make our way down the Saone River, the one thing I've always enjoyed about Europe is its mix of modern classical architecture. On this next clip, our cruise director explains one of the more modern ones on this river.
A little bit further down on the left, you will see another very interesting building, which is green fluorescent. It's the seat of the TV channel Euronews.
See this building right here? That building is called the Museum of Confluence. The key thing here is that building is sitting on the Rhone River. We are currently at the Saone River. So confluence is the junction where two rivers of equal widths join. The museum is supposed to be shaped like a cloud, and it's a museum of natural and human science and technology. Just upstream from the Museum of Confluence, we dock just close to the Tony Bertrand Nautical Center, which is a huge swimming pool complex that's open to the public. The following morning, the first stop in our tour was a place called Les Halles de Paul Bocuse. This place is basically a large food hall with lots of gourmet food. And the name Paul Bocuse is one of Lyon's top chefs. After we finished Les Halles de Paul Bocuse, our tour takes us to the old part of Lyon, where we go and visit some interesting buildings and areas. This building here, from afar you could see here, looks like a normal building, but as you can see, once you get close, all the windows and the people and the scenes inside are all painted. It's very unusual, and it's kind of one of the tourist attractions in Lyon. The following pictures are just shots that I took of Lyon as we're walking around. Here's an old toy store here. It's been around for a while. It looks like 1808. This next section is kind of interesting. Apparently in Lyon there are these buildings that are private buildings, but it's accepted to be able to walk through them, to cut across and go to the other side of the street. As you can see here, our tour guide took us through one of these passages. After that tour, we basically had some free time to ourselves, so we took off and we actually went and found this little restaurant over here where we sat down and had lunch. And after lunch, we just decided to head back to the boat and spend the evening at the boat. The following morning, we just decided to stay around and do a little bike ride. Our ship was only going to be here for just 3 hours. Some of the folks went and they took an optional tour to a medieval village, but we decided that wasn't worth it for now, and we just rented some bikes and biked along the shore of the Rhone River. We decided to end our little bike ride at the end of this trail where we got a nice picture with the Museum of Confluence right behind us there. From here, we just turned around and headed back to the ship because it is the end of our time in Lyon, and it's also the end of this long video. In part 2 of our video, we'll head down the Rhone River and finish off our river cruise. Well folks, thanks again for watching our videos. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button over here and that notification bell so that you'll be aware of any future videos that we upload. Also, feel free to go watch some of our other videos right here. Again, it's Marcel for TFNG, and thank you very much folks. We'll see you next time.